Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
Beach FM, wonderful to welcome James Cootes to the program. James, of course, Councillor for the Kapiti Coast District Council. Wonderful to welcome you, James, and congratulate you and the rest of the Elevate Otaki people on the brand new logo for Otaki.
Yeah, thanks very much, John. It's been a long time coming, and obviously COVID threw a little bit of a spanner in the works there. We were already a little bit overdue in terms of delivering it, and then COVID come along. But we got there in the end, and that's the most important thing. And as you've probably seen in the newspaper, and hopefully around town on the billboards, we've got the Otaki identity out there. It's a new logo, and it was even on 7 Sharp, actually, a little bit of a sneak preview. We hadn't quite launched it yet, and we did a collaboration with Theo Arge on the mural on the old Celtic site.
Yes.
So if you see that now, it has Manaakitanga on the top left corner,
right,
and then Small Town Big Heart, and it probably didn't mean a lot to people at the time, but now that we've actually revealed the Otaki identity, people make the connection between that and the work that we've done at Elevate. So it's been quite exciting.
Very exciting indeed. Small Town Big Heart, Manaakitanga, the slogan. Can you explain to me the logo? For those who haven't seen it, it is Otaki spelt out with a nice macron over the A. I'm delighted to see that. It's swirly blue, basically, some darker blue, some lighter blue, and also some gold. Can you explain to me the design concepts behind the logo?
Yeah, absolutely. So look, the collaboration of work with Flight Deck Creative, who we contracted to do the identity work, and so that was, as I said, quite a few months worth of work in terms of interviewing people in the community and so forth. What we didn't want to do is just have a bit of a brainstorming session around what we thought was important, and out of that work that Flight Deck did with the community, with some public workshops, interviewing people, just random interviews on the street as well as interviewing local people, came out with this Otaki story. And the Fraser also looked at the work that we'd done around the gateway sculptures and so forth. So when you actually look at the O of the Otaki, and if you actually look at the gateway sculptures as well, when they're constructed and you stand in the middle of them and look upwards, you see the same shape as at the top of the sculptures, and it refers to there's 3 strands within the all to make it the circle, and it basically talks to the 3 rivers in Otaki. The circle also talks about unity and community, so there is, I could say a lot more around that particular aspect of it, but there is meaning behind, I guess, the shapes and so forth that goes with the logo. The colours, again, there was quite a lot of discussion around that, and the committee actually went back to that twice to sort of revisit it and make sure we got it right. Ultimately, the colours were synonymous with, very similar to Otaki colours. They're quite traditional colours for Otaki. Yellow reflective of the sun as well, and the blue in terms of the rivers and the ocean, and connecting all of that through together. So, quite easily recognisable for Otaki, for those that are sort of familiar with some of the colours that are used around the town. The Manaakitanga is something if you talk to people in terms of early Māori in the community and early settlers, it's always been a town that hosts people. Manaakitanga talks about the hospitality and actually looking after people and taking care of them and being hospitable to them. And we believe that is still true today. It is a town that is very hospitable. One thing that we wanted to do when doing the identity work wasn't to label the town something that it wasn't. We make the reference that when people move here, so if someone moves here from Whitby or Eastbourne or Lower Hutt, Otaki, you move here because it is, many people move here because they like it and it's because it's special, and we want to retain it that way. We don't want to change it into where you have moved from, and so I have this out Te Horo Beach where people want footpaths and stormwater and all that stuff that comes with the city, and it's like, actually, that's the lack of that out here is what makes Te Horo Beach special. That's what people like about it. So it was important for us that the brand identity reflects the uniqueness of Otaki and the strong community spirit, and manaakitanga talks about that. And then lastly, we are a small town. I think the latest census report puts us at around 10,000 people, but we're a small town with a big heart. We're humble in the sense that we don't overly boast about what we do as a community, but as you know yourself, we're a community that is well known for strong sporting achievements. We've got strong business achievements. We've got the wānanga there, which is arguably one of the most respected education providers in New Zealand as well. So, I mean, those are just some examples of, that sort of small town, big heart. And we think that really reflects who we are as a community.
I think it's brilliant. Congratulations. And we look forward to seeing more of use of that wonderful logo. And, of course, the rest of the exciting things coming up for Otaki. Not quite so exciting for many people is the pending closure of the Otaki Gorge Road, and I believe there's some concern about that. I imagine that's exacerbated by the COVID-19 uncertainty that's around the place, the delays we've had with Transmission Gully and other projects, and people not knowing just how long they're going to be inconvenienced. And for many people, this is a real inconvenience, James.
Yeah, look, absolutely, and I totally understand their concerns. We haven't had a road closure in the Te Horo area where I live, but even just having the traffic management and the change in the road design is an inconvenience, and it's one that I, gladly put up with. But the thought of a road closure similar to what's proposed at the Gorge Road intersection, I can understand, it's concerning for residents there. I'm not too sure how much the COVID has actually impacted on that, because the design, the challenges were always there around the design. Essentially, you've got the State Highway 1 road right next to the Otaki Gorge, which obviously the intersection there, and the new bridge out of the gorge there is, I think it's about 8 metres higher than the road itself. And so they have some issues there in terms of just transitioning that into the new road and keeping it all operational. My understanding is the original plan was to have a left-in, left-out rule. So, it wasn't that they didn't have a plan. They've just sort of, as they've progressed forward and then looked at the design and construction of it, they've, essentially said, hey, maybe we can do this a different way. Instead of maybe having left in, left out for 9 to 12 months, maybe we could close the road for 2 weeks, maybe 2 months, just depending on any issues, and actually get it all done relatively quickly. And so those are the discussions that they're having at the moment. They'll come back out and talk to the community about it, and that I don't know what they're going to decide, but that may be an option. They may say to the community, look, we believe we can do this in, maybe 2 months max, and the road would be closed, or we could do left in, left out, and it could be for up to a year. Well, what would you prefer us to do? Right. Whether the community gets to choose or not, I actually don't know, but it is literally, that type of discussion that the team at Fletcher's are having. I know they're talking with the staff at Council, at KCDC, and at EZTA. Equally, I know the community are concerned around safety issues, both at that Otaki Gorge Road intersection and at the School Road intersection. Both of them, I agree, are very challenging to get out of and at times dangerous. And the other concerns were obviously the high traffic volumes past the lights of Te Horo School down School Road. So.
And I believe that the original proposal was to complete the alignment after the expressway was open. Was that going to take a longer period of time, do you believe?
Look, I think you had mentioned COVID there. That had impacted on the overall operations in terms of the expressway. I know, for example, they had a team of guys from the Hawke's Bay that were working on the substructure of the expressway through the Te Horo area there, and they basically had to go back to the Hawke's Bay, and that was a specialist team.
I'm just thinking more, James, in terms of the concerns that have been expressed to me are whether it's 2 weeks or 2 months or whatever, if there's another severe outbreak of COVID-19 in the community, and let's face it, we're teetering on the precipice right now, it's highly likely that there'll be another breakout. If the balloon goes up in the middle of whatever that period has to be, that it could be an extended period and an indeterminate period of time. And that's the concern that's been expressed to me.
Yeah, and look, I don't think the team at Fletcher's did themselves any favours over the Rahui Road and also the works at Haltree. I think both of those went over the time frame that they committed to the community. So hence the scepticism from those in the community when they say, look, it could be 2 weeks, maybe up to 2 months. The community are quite rightly saying, well, we heard that with Haltree, we heard that with Rahui Road, and it ended up being, I don't know, 8 months or whatever it was. So absolutely, I guess what I'm saying is that any of these other setbacks within the project can set back other aspects of the project because it's a little bit like a jigsaw puzzle. Some of the pieces need to be in place before the others can. So, it's a possibility. The most frustrating thing around the lockdown is it was probably the most perfect time for the teams to get the work done when no one's on the roads, and unfortunately everyone had to stay home. So.
That's right.
Yeah, I guess the main thing for me at the moment is just making sure that the community's being heard. I've certainly been in a couple of meetings where I've, sort of represented the community around those concerns, both with council staff and with Fletchers, and then making sure that any plan that comes out is well considered. As said, NZTA and KCDC will peer review those plans. They have to be actually approved by KCDC in terms of the overall consents, and then also making sure that the implementation and communication is right, so that it's communicated well to the community, and that we don't see lengthy delays to the project.
Absolutely. And when it's all finished, it's going to be absolutely wonderful. And it's an amazingly big project, this one, when you consider the thousands of tons of earth that must have been moved through the expressway. It really is very impressive, and eventually it's going to be world class. But it's just getting there, isn't it?
It is, and look, I don't know if you'd picked up on it. There was also the additional $50 or $55 million approved for the epoxy asphalt, basically a quieter asphalt for the Te Horo section. So that was quite a win. I mean, some may forget the plea from the community. I think in the previous training, it might have even been the one before, we were literally battling the agency to provide the hush seal, and it, finally got it. So you may have seen recently the approved increase in the budget for PP2O, but included in that was the additional $50 million for the shared pathway and the hush seal. So, it's certainly a good outcome for the community.
Well done. James Cootes, thank you so much for your company this morning. Very much appreciated.
Hey, John, if I could just say for anyone that wants to look more about the Elevate Otaki identity work, if they just Google Small Town Big Heart Otaki, they'll find a new website for Otaki. And there's also Facebook and Instagram as well. So I encourage people to jump online and have a little bit of a look. There's some really fantastic stories there. We refer to it as Our People, Their Stories, about local identities in the community.
It's great. Well done. Congratulations. James Cootes, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Tom.
106.3 Beach FM.